who I am. I always ask the deep questions, and I always try to stay away from the mainstream stuff. But we do have a little bit of a conversation to go over for sure. I mean, all of the political stuff here in the United States, it just feels like we have been talking about this and predicting this for years.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Years we were like, this is what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. This is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
crazy. It is topsy-turvy. What? It's just hard to believe that we actually live in these times.
I agree. So Dave, what does your shirt say?
It says Cheer Squad.
What were you? Go ahead.
I was just telling Sheila that I now buy a lot of my shirts at Kmart, so I got to go there and find the funny rando shirt. So I'm not necessarily cheering for anything now. It's just a shirt.
Yeah, it's like he goes and finds a shirt. If he'll buy it if it's the cheapest one there. He don't care what's on it. I mean, as long as it's not lewd and crude. But yeah.
Yeah, a little irony.
You know, we all know our guys do that kind of sort of thing.
Yeah, yes.
He's shopping as a guy. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of get that out there so that everybody look at it and see what it means or not mean.
Mhm.
But let's talk a little bit. Well, today, of course, today is 9/11. So we always have that humble, like, where were you at when 9/11 happened?
I was sleeping in my apartment in San Francisco when I was woken up by a couple of hysterical calls. Right, one of the people who called me was on his way to present in that building when it was destroyed. They were literally
Oh,
getting on the planes. Right, so
wow.
yeah, it was just. I mean, it was like saved by an hour. Right, yeah, it was. That was such a crazy time, only made crazier by what followed.
Of course, yeah. I remember I was working on Fort Riley, and it's a military base if those of you who do not know. And I remember the call coming up over the radio, everybody off the hill. And they called it the hill because where the office was, where from where we were working, we had to drive up to the unit. So we called it the hill. And it was everybody off the hill immediately. And you have to get off base. So everybody had come down within an hour, who was not supposed to be on Fort Riley had to get off. And
Wow,
if you
yeah.
did not get off, you were stuck. That was it. And it was
Mhm.
prolonged for a long while before they opened up the base again for the safety. Back then, you could drive on the bases with no checkpoint, just on and off, nothing.
Wow.
And so it was right then and there. They built a makeshift little thing to check all IDs and everything and credentials before you can get on and off the bases.
Mm.
So that was the moment that that I mean everybody that gets on bases now, you still have to have vetted. You have to still have to show your ID. That's from that day.
Wow.
It was
Huh.
from that day on. All bases were shut down like that and
Mhm.
protected. And
Yeah.
so we got there, and I remember going home, turning on my TV. I didn't have cable at the time. You know, back then single moms can't afford cable, but we had the news channel.
Right.
And I remember turning it on and looking at it, and I said, "Oh my gosh, somebody just picked a fight with the United States." That was my
Yeah.
first thought.
I was up quick enough to see the second tower get hit by the
Yeah.
plane, so I really, literally watched it live, and I can't remember like it was almost like a silent scream came out of me. I said, I don't think it was that silent. I think I literally screamed like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was so shocking, and we didn't know what was happening. It was like potentially War of the Worlds. We had no idea.
Right.
But
Yeah. It was definitely scary. We just didn't, that was the biggest thing that we've ever experienced in our lifetime of the United States getting attacked.
yes,
And
not in our lifetime.
yeah, and I was up, I saw, of course I didn't see the first tower, but I turned it on for that. and watching that, and then I remember the report of the plane going to the Pentagon, and then I literally on the TV as they were videotaping it watched the other plane hit the other tower, and that exactly like everybody else, I was just like, yeah, it was
Mhm.
something. So a little bit of solemn quietness for a 9/11, especially for those who lived through it. While they were there. I actually had the privilege when I went to go visit Jeffrey from Ripe Color. He lived in New York, and I went to go visit him. I think I was there for maybe 4 or 5 days. I don't really remember, but he took me down to the memorial, and I
Mhm.
got to walk around the memorial, and it's just a waterfall into like a square. I think it's shaped of the building, the perimeter of the
Mhm.
building shape. Have you ever been there?
I've never been there, no.
Yeah, it was pretty solemn. It was pretty impactful for me too. And they had all of the names written on the side where you could just walk and we'll watch that and read all the names that were there. So
Mhm. And it's so important because those people were innocent.
yeah,
Whatever our government was doing everywhere, was so, just sad because, those people in that building didn't vote necessarily for any particular person. They did not choose the oppression that goes on in the Middle East. It's just, heartbreaking that the innocent are the ones that paid.
yeah, and back then I really wasn't paying attention to a lot of what was going on politically. I
Mm,
just wasn't. I was just a single mom. My hair's goofy today. I'm sorry, but I was just being a single mom, just raising two kids and trying to go to work and juggle the house and all that because that's how we do it. And I really wasn't paying too overly much attention to that whole
mm,
thing. And I thought to myself at that time, I know Bush was in charge, he was the president, but I thought for a moment there, I was like, we have to punish them. That was, that little immaturity in me. I was like, we have to punish them.
mm.
And
Yeah,
I
well,
wasn't so mad when they started the war because I didn't
yeah,
understand it.
yeah. Well, don't feel too bad. I mean, all of us have that emotional reaction. We all had a number of emotional reactions to what happened,
Yeah.
and that's just kind of natural and organic. The question is, what do we learn and what do we do with all those feelings? I'm sure if you had been president, you would have thought twice before taking the steps to invade, Iraq, right? We all know that Iraq had nothing to do with this particular event. It was
Yeah.
mostly Saudi Arabians. We didn't go to war with Saudi Arabia. I'm sure,
Yeah.
Sheila,
Oh,
if you were president, you would have made better decisions. And it doesn't mean you do nothing. We did have to do something and react in some ways. But
yeah.
it seems to me like Obama's the one who took out bin Laden.
Yeah, he sure did. He sure
Mhm.
did. Yeah, I mean, we could hash that out a long time ago, and I agree with you that war should never have happened, um, hands down. And of course, then we have Charlie Kirk. And
Yes.
what do you want to say about that?
Well, first of all, we should mourn the passing of anyone. Violent death is unacceptable because of somebody's political beliefs, right? And that goes for virtually anyone. This way of solving problems is just simply wrong, right? And I'm sure everyone agrees. We don't want to. We wouldn't want to we wouldn't want to debase ourselves and become what is wrong and to look at something like this as in any way being good. So I am happy to say a prayer for him and his family, and at the same time I hope we can also pray for all of those people who have recently died of gunshots. They are virtually all innocent people who didn't do anything that merited those. Now that reaction, there are what, thousands of people who've been shot in the last few years, these mass killings and these
890 children.
890 children. And I just, what I would say to the right wing news is, can they name a single one of those people?
And none
Uh,
of them had their flag on half mast. But I mean, I
yes.
understand. I mean, we could go down that whole rabbit hole and all of that.
Mhm.
However, when we lose our humanity and we lose our compassion,
Yes.
we really lose a lot of who and what we are and what we want to do with that. I'm
Yes.
not here to hash out whether he deserved it or not, because I don't have that kind of power.
Right.
Um, sometimes my exact is Danny Shay in here? Hi, Danny.
Hey, Danny.
Danny. Um, so go back to the thought about it is that my first things, I'm a Gemini, so I always had that duality of emotion
Mm.
constantly,
Mhm.
like compassion, and then I also get the see the other side of it, like um it's proof. Like, one more time, you spoke and said it's okay to have deaths in this country
Mhm.
in order for us to keep our Second Amendment rights, right? And it's like
Mhm.
what comes around goes around. You put that energy out, and what did you bring to you?
Right. Which is, among other things, why we don't want to put our energy out ourselves. We want to like learn from
Yeah,
this experience. And I once did a sort of psychic reading of Trump's childhood, and what I saw was a scared, abused little kid.
yeah.
People aren't born this way; they become this way, and we would be fair to look at why Charlie Kirk was the way that he was. I think it would be fair to look at the things that he did and say, "Hey, that was horribly cruel." Who is that? That a Fox News guy who was basically fired right around the January 6th. He has his own channel
Yeah, I
too.
know who you're talking about. I can't think of
Tucker
his name either.
Carlson.
We try to forget these names, but if somebody in the
Yes,
chat will remember who he is.
Tucker Carlson is who I'm thinking of. Tucker
Sandra.
Carlson has overtly called for assassinations. That is, if you
Yeah.
look at his yearbook, he celebrates the assassination of several people who were politicians in San Francisco, one of whom was gay, not both of them. And, the mayor and one of the members of the board were assassinated. And he celebrates this. And, nobody calls him on it. Nobody calls even NBC
Well,
on the fact.
yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
They
Has
don't get
NBC,
held accountable for anything that they say.
how many networks have, brought in the parents of these kids as have gotten shot and said, hey, let's listen to them and from their point of view. The people, Marjorie Taylor Greene, pretty much verbally assaulted one of the people who
Sure
was
did.
there. And yeah, he had just gone to speak to Congress, and she treated him as if he was an actor. So, over and over again, we're seeing this happen. And now suddenly that it's Charlie Kirk, oh, wow, this is wrong. Where were you guys for the past,
Well,
20 years?
here's something else, and I was sitting there thinking as you were talking. These high schools, I mean not high school, college kids that were standing there, very happy to be in front of him, very thrilled. They were all wearing the red hat and this, that, and the other, and they were very excited to listen to these debates. I was for all the debates. Whatever this man was, I was always for them to get up there and debate and throw some conversations around. I thought a lot of us got some really good conversations out there. However, each and every one of them now got a taste of what a kindergartner or a high school student feels for just a moment. They felt what happened, and I thought
Right.
it's like everything happening all at once. And
Mhm.
my first impression was they got a taste of what really goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
They weren't
and
the
the other,
target, but
and
they
the aftermath. The aftermath is to blame the Democrats. There's no solution there. They're just promoting more killing, which,
well, they want
I
everybody to be upset and fight each other. They just cannot wait till one of us rises up.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, what can we do next for everybody to be all riled up? We need
Yeah.
this fight to go on. That's all they're
Right.
wanting, and they're not getting it. And they can't rile up the Democrats. I'm like, hey, you guys can go out and figure out brute force, whatever you guys want to do, tackle yourself on the front lawn. Fine,
Yeah.
but the Democrats will use thinking before they will use fighting, and they
Yes.
are not understanding that we will go at it with thought and understanding and weigh in, and so there's just a whole bunch of things that they just do not understand about this. They think they got us paid, and they don't.
Well, here's the other thing that I'm kind of wondering is, recently that really handsome guy shot the CEO. He shot
Yeah,
a CEO of the health company or something like that.
we
It's like,
don't know if he did or not because they can't prove it really, but
oh, they cannot. Okay, well, someone shot him, and so we would have to say, hmm,
Luigi.
will they be thinking twice now? Now they're afraid. And
Yeah,
if I were a CEO, I'd be pretty nervous.
yeah,
I
I,
don't think that this is it's not slowing down. It's just heating up for the right. I think that things are really heating up, and there is a degree of fear. This is just not a good climate. And
yeah.
are there any leaders here? I mean, I would respect a right wing person who I disagreed with. I would respect them if they came out and said, "Look, this is just wrong. We got to stop the rhetoric. You cannot shoot people." Have you heard anybody show up and say that? Have you ever heard
Only to
any?
this guy, only about that guy. Anyway,
Yeah,
we definitely need to move a little bit past that. Where I just wanted to have a good conversation about that, about
yeah,
it, because like I said, we both feel this guy did not say great things. I do not advocate for anybody to be shot. I don't. I just don't. But yet I can see how what comes around goes around, but I can also see, that this was probably one of the worst things for the United States to go through right now.
yes,
We didn't need this.
yes,
Along with everything else, we just didn't need this.
yes.
So
That's absolutely true.
so then we talk about Trump and the rumors going around that he possibly had a stroke today.
Yeah,
He
you're
was
saying drooping face.
Yeah, well, he was. I apparently, and I may get a little bit of the details wrong, but he was at a memorial for the 9/11 sort of thing. He was sitting next to Melania, things like that, and apparently the 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 video looks like his face was drooping, like,
Wow. Okay.
and like he looked a little confused and stuff. So the rumor is that we saw him have a stroke on camera. So with
Yeah.
that said, I kind of wanted to see what you kind of see with
Sure.
this, and see if there's anything in there, uh,
Sure. Let's check them out.
because they're not going to tell us the truth no matter what.
No, they're not. Don't believe the statistics. They're certainly false. And I'm just going to put some of my energy into the earth, right? So I'm not too distracted. I'm calling in the light here. Okay, let's just spirit show me Donald Trump. It has the feeling of dementia. He has a feeling of like it's almost like this little doorway, lots of empty space, little doorway, lots of empty space, little doorway. Like there's like maybe these doorways into being able to speak, these doorways into memory, these doorways into understanding what to do. But the rest is just blank space. So I really think he's almost like sitting there going, it's like it's like me doing math. There's just a certain point where you're just like, I can't think anymore. If you ever had a word problem test, I went to law school, so this would
Yeah.
happen. I'd study like crazy, and then I get to the session, I'd just be like, and for some reason, these tests would just freak me out, and I couldn't think, and I'd know the answer, but I couldn't choose it, and it's like that. He's a very diminished man, and I don't think that. Oh, that's interesting. All right. I see meds. I think they are giving him meds to try to make him be able to perform. That is what I see. And they're just like pump him up before the video is very, very choreographed, right? So they're sort of choreographing his videos. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody in the White House knows, like, he's on his way out. And they are nervous. They are really, really worried. All of these people have, many of them have broken the law. And if Trump is no longer in power, Republicans no longer in power, the people around Trump, some of them could go to prison. And so they're very, very nervous about what will happen when the truth comes out. This seems like a heavy, heavy malaise throughout the White House of just actually almost hysterical nervousness.
I 100% agree on that. And I'm just going to pull one little card out in the middle of this, and I get gluttony. They're and this one right here, you know how the cups are behind and they're surrounding him, and come on, Panda, insulating them. Panda's just down here bugging me, insulating him. So I think you're spot on this, and the reason why is because they're speeding up everything. In fact, they're trying to get all of Trump's nominees through the Senate so fast. They're starting to do a group thing where they bring them all in, and instead of individually, they're trying to do it all in a group to get them passed through.
Yeah,
Things have been just like with the first day of his presidency, how fast they're moving. They know he's sick.
yeah, yeah. He's on the way out.
Yeah,
They're aware.
they know.
Yeah.
Everything is in the speed zone right now. So here's another thing is that we all know, they're not going to tell us the truth about Trump, right? But can you give us, maybe you can tap into how much they really know about his health? How many of the senators in his cabinet, how because sometimes Trump will lie to himself, so we really can't tap into Trump. I don't tap into Trump anymore unless I'm doing something else, but because he's a liar, right? He won't tell me the truth. His energy doesn't tell me the truth. But somebody around him will know. So what do you see with what the people know about or what's around him?
It's so funny. As you were saying this, I saw Nancy Mace. And you know how Nancy Mace like went to the Epstein event where the people who were survivors spoke up, and Nancy Mace left the room in tears and like super upset, like she was having an anxiety attack. That's what I'm seeing. I think that event was more symbolic than we give it credit for. I think that was a moment where like I think she really did have sort of a personal revelation. I think she did realize what I'm doing is wrong. It has a bit of the feeling to that. And I think that impacted her, among other things, because, they actually moved her, the survivors. That's like my feeling. But I think also it's symbolic in the sense that that's where she changed her mind. That's where she shifted, where she's like, well, maybe I'm on the wrong team. And maybe history will reveal that I was very much on the wrong team. And it just has a feeling like Nancy Mace knows what's going to happen. Like she knows that Trump will be exposed and she doesn't want to be associated with that. Right. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she knows, the rats are sinking the ship. Right. That's the next person that I'm seeing. I'll just take one look at her. Although, let me tell you, it's not a pleasant view. What are you doing? Wow, she's doing this. What do I do? She's like calculating. How do I make money out of this? How do I save myself? She's just such a little scammer. No ethics here. It's just about how can she escape? Look, she sees the sink ship, the sink, the ship sinking.
Is sinking.
She sees this happening. She knows there's well, interesting. Now I'm seeing a couple of Democratic senators, and this one in particular, who is gosh, who's the good looking one from California? It's a good looking man. Um, I forget what his name is,
Are you talking
but
about
I
the governor?
no, not the governor. I mean a senator. He's a younger man. I cannot. When I do this work, I sometimes lose names.
Same.
But he's looking at me and he's kind of smiling, and he's like, "Look, we all know." And you know what? Another message he's giving. He's like, "We've been kind of quiet. Our fight hasn't been so formidable. That is,
Swalwell.
yeah, Swalwell. That's how, yeah, exactly. Our reaction has not been as strong as it could have been because the Democrats are like, wait and see. Let them dig their own grave. All of these problems will come out. It's a little bit like, hey, we gave our best shot to that election. It didn't work. The only way people are going to learn is by experiencing like the authentic, Trumpian way, the Republican way. But he's got this little, yeah, we knew all along he wasn't very well off. And so, Swallow, you want to tell me anything else? He's pointing to something. What are you pointing to? Interesting. He's pointing to a door, and it's like a double door is going to fly open. And then Mike Johnson comes out. Mike Johnson looks really upset. He's got some kind of announcement. Something big is done. I mean, I almost feel like this could be Johnson announcing that Trump is dead, right? It just or he is so unable to perform his functions that he will no longer. We'll have to replace him with Vance, and boy is that going to be a mess. Vance is not a capable person. He is not capable of convincing people. Yeah, Johnson's going to fly out that door and go, "Oh my God, everyone!" And it just has a feeling that Swalwell is like, "Yeah, the future looks bright," but Mike Johnson is not so happy about that future. He is looking pretty glum and worried. We all read the writing on the wall. Republicans are really unpopular right now. I think they're even more unpopular than the Dems.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
that's
very,
what I
very well. They keep on saying that the Democrats are losing support, this, that, and the other. And then they had a report come out that the Democrat Party is still higher than both the other parties. We still, all of the statistics are out there, and there was 3 reports that did a count for all of those states who report in for party affiliation, and the Democrats were always ahead. So they
yeah.
they can only hope and wish that we were going away, but we're not. They want us to, but we're not.
Mhm.
Okay, so I also think that they know what's going on. I don't want Trump to die, to be honest with you. I don't. However, what comes around goes around. When he made fun of that handicap um, reporter, maybe he
Yes.
should live like that for a while. We'll see.
Yeah, I get a lot of karma showing up right now, and if we want to use that broad term, it is again ironic that we would start with him, doing that, and the Republicans accepting him mocking. I mean, 6-year-old bullies. That's the kind of behavior that these
It's
people are
awful.
admitting. It's just shocking behavior. I really do believe though it had to come forward. These
Yep.
people have always existed, and this bullying has always existed in a subtle. I don't. Anybody who ever had a job
Right, right.
and knows that this goes on all the time, and it just had to be hatched out.
Agreed. All right, so let's get to some juicy questions. Are you ready for some?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do the unseen forces in power. Here's the question. Many people believe decisions are made behind the scenes, outside the public eye. From what you access, what's the biggest hidden force shaping the political power today?
I'm seeing Peter Thiel. I don't think he's the only one because there's someone else, but I think that that's the real deep state, right? I mean, this it's so deep that I got to tell you, if I lived in Australia, I would be. I didn't live in Australia, I'd be afraid to say that, right? I mean, that's how
Yeah.
deep and powerful some of these people are. That we're all of us are thinking twice when we speak because you know freedom of speech has now become dangerous, right?
Right.
Just to ask Charlie Kirk. Um, so that's disturbing that I, as an American, would need to be afraid of someone like this. But I think we're all brave in speaking up. Peter Thiel, I see him doing that, and his sort of, oh, it's just, oh, he just gives me this feeling of just
What's his
absolute,
agenda? What's his
oh,
ag-
it just, that's the thing. It's like, it's very much like a, how there used to be like a sort of conspiracy theory that there were lizard people in charge, and the royal family was the lizard people, and they would all look at the shape of these people's face and say, "Lizard people." He has a feeling of that, like he is soulless, like he's just a machine. I think that one of the dangers that we have in technology is that it can turn people into these rather soulless power mongering machines. That goes for a lot of people who are the sort of titans of tech. What does he want? Power. He wants to reform the world in his desired image. It's just a sense of, if you create a company and it's extremely successful, you just take that idea of this is how I created it, now I will do it with the world. There's also a sort of the strong will survive version of capitalism. It's not the version of capitalism, for example, that we saw under somebody like Roosevelt. That would be a different version of capitalism. His is that, cut out the dead weight, let them starve. We will, like Scrooge, just die and reduce the population if you're not going to be a corporate drone or help me make money. What else is your agenda? I get a feeling too he doesn't like women, and I hate to say it, there's a certain kind of, as a gay man, I can say there are some gay men who are not comfortable with women. And there's some gay men who really like women like me, but there are gay men who are like, she's no use to me, and so why should I care about her? And he comes from that variety of just, it's almost hatred of the power of a woman's ability to be generative, right? It's a sort of jealousy in some sense that, he can't have a baby, or it just has that feeling of coldness. I
Now,
would say that this man did not have great relationships with women or his mom. They were not good relationships. He doesn't have a good impression of people in general, but I'd say especially people who have legitimate emotions.
well, while you're talking, um, my feelers on the back of my neck is like going crazy. And I see him. Remember, what was that movie where he says, "Put the lotion on the body"? What movie was that?
Oh, a
Puts
Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, puts the lotion on the body. Okay, so that is what I come up with Teal, and he's like this imaginary, maybe transgender or cross dresser that is.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
do you see that yet? I was like, every time you were talking about it, I'm like, oh no.
Well, there's also people who, maybe he has that tendency and hates that about himself.
Yes.
So, and that transpires to I hate women, or I hate femininity, or I hate feminine gay men. It's
Yeah.
like he's become a machine.
Yes, yes. I don't know what's going on with your video thing right now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you okay.
Okay. Even if your video is not that good, if we can hear each other. Yeah, that was my first thought when you were bringing up Teal. And I see what happens with people who has a sickness of more is they always want more. There's never enough.
Yes. Yes. Yes,
And
that's true.
that is the absolute corruption, in my opinion, of your soul, is when you get that addiction of more.
Well, I mean, let's face it, Sheila. If you and I made $100 million, we just retire. We would just go. You know what? I'm going to travel on my yacht around the world. We would go and go to charities all over the world and help them. We'd go feed kids. There we would do such cool things with every
Yeah.
single one of your viewers would say, "I am going to have a fabulous, fun life." And I'm gonna, when I
Yeah.
roll out of bed at 11:30, I'm gonna roll right into my next charity institution, just for the feeling of giving.
Yeah.
So you gotta wonder what is going on with these people who,
It's a
I just
disease.
I've met some rich people, and they're so rich that the only thing they can do is compete with other rich people. So if they have a Louis the 14th desk, I have to have a Louis the 14th desk, and they
Right.
will just try to top each other with these very sort of petty, who cares? I mean, like, again, all of us, none of us would really care that much about another beautiful piece of furniture.
Yeah.
And it's not even the beauty of that thing, although they might tell themselves it's the beauty of that thing. It is to have something that somebody else has. And that's just it's so sad and unhappy. One reason I think that people should be taxed heavily when they pass, that there should be an inheritance tax, is, first of all, the people who are inheriting the money, they didn't do anything for that work. That's not capitalistic. The second thing is, they're not happy. If you have never worked in your life, what do? You become a drug addict.
Yeah.
It's just, the system has so flown out of control. I got no problem with somebody earning, I'm going to say $15 million.
Yeah.
But after that, let somebody else take your place. You're never going to go hungry.
Yeah, don't get greedy. That's what I always say. Don't get greedy. Just
Yeah.
enjoy. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're on to the next question. Uh,
Sure.
I know we could talk forever about literal. I'm going to call him. What was the guy's name in Silence of the Lamb? What was the Bill something?
Oh God, Hannibal Lecter is one of the
Ye-
characters.
Yeah, but what was the Somebody put it in the chat. I'm trying to look for it. Somebody put it in the chat again. It was something what was it? Something Bill.
Don't
We're gonna
remember that.
start calling him Buffalo Bill. That's what his name was. So Peter
Was it
Thiel is now
really?
equal to Buffalo Bill. So we
That's
got that.
right.
I also want to acknowledge that we have 1,395 people here watching. So thank you for that. I am so grateful for each and every one of you when you show up and support our channels for that. So here I want to put another heavy question on Dave. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here's another heavy question. This is the spiritual dimension. Do non physical intelligence influence political outcomes? And if so, how do they align or clash with human theories? Like, I don't want to say free will because I don't really believe in that's a whole nother issue. But like, are they on humanity's side, or they are entertained, or are we just missing the mark?
Well, the interesting thing that I see, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, how spirit, without actually going into a trance, right? How am I going to tell you about that? Because it's beyond my knowledge. But and it's like, okay, spirit, how can you send me an image that sort of gives me the idea? And I always use pyramids in my work just to put myself in a place of safety when I do this work. It's important to feel safe and be safe. And as I do that, the pyramid shifts. It's kind of like, so I believe this means what they do, what spirit outside of us or outside this planet does, is they influence us. So I really believe that Abraham Lincoln was greatly influenced by spirit. I almost think that he was sort of sent as a messenger, right? And I don't want to imply that uh, Lincoln was perfect. He wasn't, but he was pretty awesome in many ways. And I think that was, not just that he was supposed to be there, but he really was influenced by spirit. Maybe he had no idea. I think that spirit influences us. I think that we are here, and there's a lot of us shedding the light, and that might not see. We're not necessarily president. We're not in political positions. Nobody would necessarily vote for us for those positions, nor would we be able to raise the money that those people raise. But we're able to go out and just, be kind to somebody today. I think that spirit. I think that they do influence what's going on, and they're not passive. I think that there is a guidance of light, and in that guidance, it does the best to influence certain individuals so that they will make changes into the culture, and there'll be a ripple effect of change. This is the feeling and sort of imagery I got. And actually, they're showing me.
Do
Uh
they like to
huh.
be called ghosts? Anyways, go for it.
I feel them laughing on the other side. But I'm seeing Lincoln, right? And I'm seeing Lincoln, and there's the pyramid. And it was kind of like over time, they kind of gradually merge. I think that work and that he did was that he gradually came to some greater understanding. And then that poor man, he had so much trouble in his life, right? So yeah, and also, I Kim from Intuitive View, we did a past life regression where she was the intuitive in the White House that was helping Mayor Todd Lincoln after her son passed. And it was really great past life regression, much like yours, where there was so much material there. But one of the things was, she was trying to help. She was an intuitive in the White House that was trying to help them get past the incredible sadness that she had for losing her two kids. So I think even just her being present in that house was sort of spirit influence, and you could tell that in that lifetime, as in this one, Kim's just a really good person. So there's the light. I would say look around you, notice those people in the light. The universe is always sort of leading everyone in these directions towards, not relishing in the death of someone because they're a political enemy, but instead going to, empathy. That's the light.
Yeah, I am. I also get messages, and people talk to me on the other side, even though a lot of people forget that it happens, but it does. I sometimes walking through my own house, like bump into somebody. I'm like, oh, why didn't you just introduce yourself? You know what I mean? But instead of, why do I have to run into you? And I have a feeling that even when I am getting information, sometimes I feel like I know that it's from spirit, and then I know that it's from something else. Do you know what
Mm,
I'm trying to say? It's like, the channels as to when they people and things that kind of come in, and sometimes they just tell me, like, hey, it'll be over before you know it. We're moving into, these are the messages that I always get. We're moving into another dimension. Those that cannot come will not come. Get prepared. You may have to lose a relative. You know what I mean? These are the informations that I keep on getting. It
mhm.
keeps me here and without wanting to, either be homicidal or suicidal. You know what I mean? Being here in the United States and getting through all of this. I just think that the entities on the other side do help, and I think everybody has them. I really do.
Yes.
I think everybody is listening in there. Who, I don't understand what who somebody's asking who was he talking about? Will the United States ever be out from underneath the colonizer rule? Yeah, it will fall apart because it won't work. I
Yes.
100% agree that. It's
Yes.
just, it's like putting together a sand castle, and you living in this sand castle on the beach for quite some time. Boy, it worked. They got it done. It's solid, and a tsunami comes and takes it out. Right?
Yes.
Not
That's what's
everything
going on.
lasts forever.
Yes, that's what's going on. And we may feel that we cannot control the whole big picture. And, we can't. We can control these interrelationships. We
Yeah.
can, I would say people are doing a lot more of that. It's just not shown on TV. Spirit has always shown me that there is more light now than there was 20 years ago. Maybe this shadowy force is actually serving a purpose for us to go, hey, I need to step up. I need to do more. I need to be kind to my neighbor. And instead of just saying, yeah, whatever, I don't care about that. We are, it's like necessary now that we use our sixth sense.
Yes.
So there is more good going on than the internet might show us, because that's not particularly appealing to people. People don't necessarily go, oh, what a beautiful flower. They don't turn the internet on to see something nice. They are turn the internet on because they want to address some stress and worry, and it just makes us more stressed and worried. Not that it's inherently bad, but I
Right.
would ask people, just notice yourself. How much have you changed? Forget everybody else. Give
Yeah.
yourself a big fat pat on the back. You've gotten through this. You haven't turned into a monster. You haven't assassinated anyone. You are a better person.
What? Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody had to change. We would love to say the Republicans need to change, but the truth is, we all had to change. And
Hmm.
those who are able to change did. Those who are not able to change won't. And we have seen this split in this humanity. I wanted to say a few things. I know that footprint Tarot, Chrissy's in here. I don't know if she's still in here, but I wanted to say hello. Clarence is here. He's one of my moderators. I haven't seen him in a long time. And we also have Blue Rose, I think it is, and Lori. Boy, we have a lot of people in here. I don't know if on your thing, can you see your chat at all?
I can see a few. Yeah. I expanded, but
I
let's see.
think I can see. I think I can see yours too. This is a combined of 1,415, so like a combination of Dave's channel and my channel together. So that's how many people are watching this live film, and I appreciate you. I just wanted to clarify that as well.
Hello, everyone.
So yeah, Chrissy's still in here, and Clarence, and all of those. Okay, cool, cool. All right, so here we are to the next one. I told you it would be kind of like all over with me, but you're used to it. You love me for it anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's another one that I was so excited. I'm so excited to ask this question.
Okay.
Long-term consciousness. Think of that. Long-term consciousness. Okay. What decisions being made by current world leaders will echo most strongly in human society 50 years from now? What's going on right now that in long term is could be something that we will hold on to?
Well, again, the interesting thing is I'm seeing sort of a neutral, self-serving politician, and they're not doing the right thing at all, right? They're just kind of doing what's best for them and going with the flow. That kind of a guy, wearing the red tie and the blue suit, the white shirt, it's just the basics. But it's interesting that the sort of refraction of this person is how we're all experiencing and seeing this politician. So there's a huge thing. Just again, don't forget that these characters we don't find positive are here to teach us something. They're here to say, I don't want to be like that. They're here to say, why is this person like this? And we can see that they're very calculated people. These, it's kind of like when you go to a corporation, you take the company line, you repeat the company phrases. You don't believe in them, but that's your job, is to pretend you believe in them. And I even feel the politician themselves is like, wow, this is a really hollow life. And it even affects that sort of kind of right wing, not totally right wing politician, that they kind of feel some sense of My grandchildren are going to be looking at this and they're going to be thinking about me. And I don't necessarily want them to think negatively. Maybe I should temper what I think saying and believing a little bit. Just because, they go to parties too and people throw glasses of wine in their face and they say, how dare you? You deported my cousin and this is wrong and stuff. People, they do experience the world. And people who disagree with them. Just this politician looks a bit ashamed, so understand that this shadowy stuff can change. People can change. Nancy Mace changed to some degree, maybe not as much as we like, but in a moment, she did the right thing. So I think that is like a sort of echoing through. I guess I would say it's almost like watching a Shakespeare play. Here we all are watching this play happen and watching all of the dynamics of happening so that we can like walk away with some material of, what are humans? What's their consciousness? How do you change their minds? How do you deal with the fact that sometimes people live in denial?
Yeah.
And I would say, I think you're looking for something more like this. Magic. I just see in the future more magic. More people are turning to the sixth sense. I'd say like somebody holding a wand, and it kind of looks like you actually, but you look really, really like happy and powerful. It's like you're waving a wand, and you're like, "Here's the light." Uh, you know, when we're all gone, people are going to be watching these videos and trying to figure out the society, just like we watch videos from 80 years ago and try to figure out the society. It's going to be, I think, when people look at it, they're going to go, they were in the middle of it. They didn't realize how much they were expanding.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
now we look back and like, whoa, that was the time of great expansion. They just didn't even know it because it was so, tense, right, and dramatic.
Yeah.
And we're experiencing a very dramatic time right now. And as we look back on it, it might appear to be more positive in some ways than we think, because then we'll have some perspective. I think this is going to take some time. It's not going to happen tomorrow. But that doesn't mean that we sitting here right now don't know that this is going on.
I agree. I think Hollywood should start picking up the tab. And remember how we would go watch these movies in the future, and we would sit there and enjoy these movies in the future, and then everybody would start dreaming about the future, and all of a sudden whatever was in that movie now is, here. I think Hollywood needs to get on board with that and start making some movies of what the future is without Trump. To get everybody on board and going. A lot of people, what Nancy Mace did, she was back with Trump the very next day. She really, really didn't do anything. The only thing she did is cry in the hallway when she was listening to the victims' stories. Okay,
I
you had
think
that
she did,
breakdown.
I think she did vote to release the evidence, and
Did she? I
without
didn't
her
hear.
vote, yeah. With
Okay,
now
did she?
she went and kissed butt afterwards
Yeah,
because she didn't want to totally go anti-Trump. She knows the consequences of that. So
yeah.
she immediately tried to get back into the fold, but she did make that vote. And I think she and a few others mean that the
Okay.
files that have been released have only been released because of her vote. So while I don't think she's all the way on the
Okay.
team,
Okay. I didn't
that
realize
one
that she.
moment made a difference,
Okay.
a little difference.
Oh, goodness gracious. We have it's one thing where we have to keep on be micromanaging our own senators and our own House representatives. We have to micromanage them because every time something comes up, boy, I tell you what, mine is a Republican. His name is Jeff Crank. And let me tell you, he's had a few letters from me. He's probably blocked me by now, but I write one every time something happens. You better release. This is how I want you to do. I'm your constituent. Anyways, I'm pretty sure he's figured out I'm not your fan.
I think so. But I also get the feeling that it does make a difference. These
Yeah.
people, they do note these letters.
Yeah, there was a time, I don't remember what happened, but one time he sent me an email on like the worst day, like Trump did something horrible, and I remember my knee jerk reaction is I looked at my phone and I pushed reply and I put "f you" except for I spelled it out and sent it off. Yeah, I've done that too, so I'm pretty sure he probably is not listening to me anymore, but
Uh-huh.
it happens.
Well,
Okay,
a
here
couple
we
of millions of those letters, maybe he changed his mind.
Yeah, yeah. I bet you I probably have sent since he's been there since January.
Hmm.
I would say upwards to between 30 and 35 letters or emails.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go,
I've
Sheila.
also called I've also picketed in front of his office. You can go in one by one and you can submit a complaint. I've done that. You know what I mean? So I'm terrorizing
Respect.
my own. Yeah, I'm terrorizing
Respect,
my own
Sheila.
Republican in my own town.
Respect. You're a good citizen. Good for you.
He knows. If he doesn't know my name, he knows now. so so yeah, I have definitely spoken up to mine. So here's a spiritual ultimate verification. Okay, hang on.
Okay.
Here's the question. If you had to provide one piece of information from your channeling that could be tested and verified in the physical world, what would you choose if we could?
I'm not sure I understand. Tested and
So,
verified?
let me read the question one more time and take some time. If you had to provide one piece of information from your channeling
Mhm.
that could be tested and verified in the physical world, what would you choose?
Hmm. And so do you mean like an event? Like a prediction?
Possibly. Yeah,
Yeah.
prediction, an event, a physical thing. Um, what do you say? Sheila, what do you say? I don't know what that question is, but Sheila, what do you say? So I'm going to read the question one more time while you kind of think
Sure.
about it. Let's see. It says spiritual ultimate verification. So if you had to provide one piece of information from your channeling
Hmm.
that could be tested, I'm not sure tested is the right wording in this, and verified. I'm not sure. So you can kind of wiggle with that. In the physical world, what would you choose?
Hmm. It's hard to pick one thing, but I just asked Spirit to show me something. And what I'm seeing is Trump deflating, and I get November. Right? I don't.
Mhm.
Spirit does not allow me. I've asked it not to tell me when people are going to die. I don't want to know, and I'm not sure if it's right to know. But I see like him deflating in November, and gosh, what else is they showing me? Hmm. For at least a short time, I get a Putin win. I feel like those two are really playing a dance of power. And I think that for a short time, Putin will win this battle. And that will be a significant thing. It will be significant because, you know, even conservatives, Trump supporters, they don't like to see us losing to a guy like that, right? So I think actually there will be a more significant backlash for the conservatives than we are expecting once they, you know, Putin makes a fool out of Trump. Putin sort of overwhelms him in a way. It's almost like Trump is flattened. I think that I'm going to say that is what Spirit is showing me now, that Putin will do a little victory dance. I don't think that it will turn out particularly well for Putin either. So something as big is going to shift in terms of the what we see of the dynamics of power.
I agree, and I guess that question is a little mixing up for me as well. But I have a feeling that you could literally go back a year from now and just look at any of your videos that you can see we have been predicting this for a very long time. I
Yeah.
also get before December or within December before I asked that I have this little coin that I flip to yes or no.
Mm,
It's like flipping a quarter, right? And I
yeah.
asked, and I'm going to do it one more time. I twist it. I don't know if you can hear it, but I twist it and I asked, is Trump going to leave or be with us, um, you know, in December? So I let it go. I don't know if you can hear it, but I just flip it on my little coin or my little white. Oh, it says no again. And I had this little, I know you can't see it, and I can't prove it because I did it off camera. But my little coin again landed on no. So I too get the same thing that Trump is probably not going to be with us for very much longer.
At least not
Also,
conscious.
yeah, I mean, if he goes full blown dementia, stroke, and all that, and he has to be put in hospice or a hospital or something like that, JD Vance has to take over. You would think, unless they're gonna prop him up like Bernie.
Yes. Right.
Not Bernie
Well,
Sanders, but
that's
you know the movie Bernie.
oh right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Weekend at Bernie's, I think, is the is
Right.
the movie. I have a lot of movie references right now. Also, for me, one of the ones that it keeps on talking to me is how um Kamala Harris, we both believe that Kamala Harris definitely won, and there's a lot of studies and things like that. We get a little piecemeal of information, and as to how they did it and why they did it and things like that. So we have that verification as well. Another verification is that we how can I put this? I don't know how to put this. We draw in seekers and seers, right?
Mhm.
And we are able to stay here, and it's not like I can lie to my audience, right?
Mhm.
We can't. That's one verification. We're not fooling our audience, our subscribers. They're seekers, they're seers, they're tarot card readers just like we are, they're channelers just like we are. we're
Mhm.
we can't we're not fooling them. And
Yes.
somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. We just get it. People get a sense when things are off. I'll tell you, the day after the election, I woke up in the morning to do a like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I was wrong" video. It wasn't me who was immediately aware that something was up with that election. It was the viewers. It was every single person who's like, "Nope, Dave, I'm part of the 4 a.m. club where I woke up and I knew something wasn't wrong about this. I I assumed in the beginning that I was wrong." But I would just say, forget all the, what they might have done and strings they might have pulled. If you've got Elon Musk changing the way that X
Yep.
presents material, that's not a fair election,
No.
right? He has more power than any individual. That's not a democracy. All you really needed was Joe Rogan, Rupert Murdoch, and Elon Musk. There's three people basically decided that election.
Yeah.
And Democrats just don't have that kind of power. They don't have that kind of money. They don't have one really, really, really rich person to make sure that they become president. They have some money, but since Citizen United, we don't have a democracy. What kind of a democracy is it where the guy who wins second gets to be president?
Yeah.
So, had we had a fair democracy, Hillary would have won. And then I think Trump would have disappeared. So, the
Yeah.
only fact that he is running is only because of democracy that is, not functioning very well as a democracy.
Yeah. So, last question, and then we'll get like a message from the spirits from you, because we are at about an hour and
Oh,
5 minutes, so we're doing pretty good. Um, JD Vance. Okay. So we need to talk about Trump going and JD Vance being president. All right.
mhm.
I've done a channeling on him, or not channeling, a remote view. I don't channel like you do, but a remote view on him, and whatever was in the Akashic records at the time it came through. A lot of it is already showing up, but I kind of would like for you to take a deep dive, like take a deep breath, relax, kind of relax into it and see what you see about JD Vance. And I don't see MAGA being held connected to him, but maybe you do. You know what I mean? But I'm just
It's
going to let you kind of see, what do you see with JD Vance and him being president?
so I hate to say it because it's so kind of high school mean girl, but the first word I got was dork. He's just a dork. It just is like the kind of guy who, you know, I can't understand the charisma of Donald Trump. I don't understand how anyone looks at him for 10 seconds and doesn't go disgusted, right? It's like looking at Jabba the Hutt. But at the same time, you know, he has something that appeals to them. That guy in the class who, needs to blow his nose, he's just not gonna. Those same people aren't going. He doesn't represent them in the way that they want to look. And the funny thing is that I see in my, I guess we'll call it a remote view, is him trying to swat a fly, and he's got like this, I don't know if you have those electric. I have to have them because I live in Australia. There's like electric fly swatters, right? And he's got one of those, just like running around the Oval Office trying to catch the fly, but he's just not managing it. He just looks like an idiot. It's just like cringe, cringe. Oh my God, this guy's going to negotiate, peace deals in the world. Who is going to take him seriously? Like everybody's just going to go. I mean, he doesn't have any experience. He doesn't have the charisma. He's not smart in any particular way. He's just that guy, and so he just looks foolish. He's just embarrassing. And he's embarrassing to MAGA because he doesn't look like the, manly, suit wearing, self-made corporate, former Marine. He doesn't give that off. It's just he doesn't come from a world of power. And I hate to say it, but lacking that understanding, that fundamental understanding. I mean, George Bush had parents that understood power. And his whole life, he could watch them and see how they dealt with people, how they learned, how they did that. He didn't have that. He's just a guy, and he's not like someone who, built a big business or something and learned that way. He's just a guy. And I think this job will totally overwhelm him. Whatever you would say about Trump, my partner was pointing out, hey man, whatever you say, he got shot in the ear and he had the wherewithal to come up and make a fist. Whether that was set up or not, many perceive that as like incredible strength. That may well have brought him the election. That ability to instantaneously deal with whatever's happening and still show up with power, whatever that is a sort of ability to be spontaneous. That is a very rare ability to be able to stand up and do that. Again, we don't know how much of that was set up, but even if it was, he was a good actor, right? Vance, he ain't got it. He's going to stand there and they're going to ask him a question. He's going to be like, your mama, he just doesn't have any juice in him. He's like, yeah, well, you're fat. He's
What you
not going
say to me sticks off of, or bounces off of me and sticks to you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's going to be like, he's just going to appear very childish and incompetent and embarrassing. And I think that is like his divine purpose, is to embarrass the people who elected him.
Right,
And
but I have a feeling that he might pick Peter Thiel as his running mate.
wow, that would be interesting. Right. And a really bad idea. If
Yeah.
anybody would be unflattering on TV, it would be Peter Thiel. He looks like a reptile.
Well, he would be the first gay man,
Yeah.
right? And the MAGA's not going to appreciate that as much as they think they're going to appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's that, but I think he comes across as the most soulless and unattractive character that
Yeah, to us, but I don't really know what MAGA thinks of him though. But I mean, MAGA loved Elon Musk,
right. Well,
the
they used
grease
to.
monkey that he was. He was just so nasty. I bet you he didn't even take showers. I always look at him and look like you could just wipe the grease right off his face.
Yeah. Well, I think there's one thing about totalitarians that they have something that makes them able to be dictators. There's something about their personality. However, we would say people watching them are deluded. There is something about, the way that they're speaking to people, the way that they're manipulating people, that's just specific to a very, very few people, and they can't copy it, which is one of the problems with dictatorship. Is like once they're gone, there's going to be chaos. In our case, I think there's enough structures to save us from total destruction. I don't think that'll be true in places like Russia. I think once Putin's gone, it's going to be a battle of mafia to see who controls that country, and that's going to be, a sad thing to watch. Again, there's plenty of good Russians who didn't participate in all of this. This era is here to show us that it all ends in tears. It just ends in disaster. You
But then,
might you
yeah,
might suspend your disbelief for a while and say, "No, it's because of the Mexicans. It's because of this. It's because of that." But you can't do that forever.
no,
Uh, COVID showed that you just can't pretend forever. There will be consequences, and you will have to deal with them.
yeah. So Sheila, don't take the glory away from Lizzie Graham. Oh, yeah, Lizzie Graham. I can't think of his first name for some reason because now all I can think of is Lizzie.
Lindsay,
Yes, but yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so they're putting up a good point. I don't know if a South African born can be a vice president. I don't know if that applies to a vice president. I don't know if a president can pick anybody they want, whether they were born here or not. But that's a good point. I'd have to look into that. I really don't know
I don't
that
know
answer.
either.
But you're right. He is not born and raised here, and that maybe if he can pick anybody, and he does pick him, he's not only picking a gay man, he's also picking a foreigner. So JD Vance is known for making stupid mistakes. So
He's easily influenced. I think he'd pick Mickey
he's
Mouse if
just
that's what I'm told.
I picked up on how, because he was one of the authors of Project 2025. JD Vance was.
Mm,
Or something. He's very, very connected to the Project 2025. Somebody else probably can. I
mm.
remember it very briefly. So JD Vance is connected to that. So I have a feeling that he does have a whole bunch of that inside of him, and he's pretty awful. Uh,
Mm,
but it takes somebody to be pretty awful, but to also execute all of what you want is what you're
right.
trying to say. Is I don't think he has that ability to execute it like Trump. I think I honestly believe this, and I'll say this again and again. Once Trump leaves this planet, the milk will sour, and they will never find anybody else to have that much power over those people ever again.
Yes. Yes.
I
It's
really
a
do believe that.
it's a specific quality, and Hitler's always reminded me, or sorry, Hitler. Trump has always reminded me of Mussolini, right? Not the other guy,
Yeah.
more Mussolini. He's like a carnival barker. He's like a guy that seizes the moment and sees what works in the eyes of the people, right? Which is a horrific skill that some people have. Some people can reflect back what their people want. I mean, look, Trump is a walking, talking Fox News. He
Yeah.
just personifies it in one person, right? He yells at the reporter for asking the questions that he doesn't want to answer. But you notice that even him, it's not working so much regarding the Epstein files. And I swear to God, there are people that I've worked with that saw that coming about. They're like, the very rich and powerful are not so happy with this whole Trump Thiel deal. They are seeing that the consequences are bad for business. It's bad for their bottom line. and risky and dangerous. They're not
Agree.
in the Epstein files. So, I
No,
think
no.
that's
Wait,
why
wait,
this
wait.
came about.
I think we got the list. Everybody that donates to Trump over $1 million, like exceedingly amount of money, insane. I think we got the list. I think that
Yes,
everybody that donates to Trump, especially his inauguration or his campaigns, all of that, that wanted him to go in back into there so that they can get all of this Epstein thing smashed, or held back, or manipulated, or whatever. I think those should be suspiciously on the list. I think each and every one of them better start bucking up. Like, why would you give $1 billion? Why would you give $3 million? Right? I
yeah,
know you're rich, but come on, that's ridiculous.
that is ridiculous, right? Well, I can't help but think that someone made the decision. The Epstein files have been around for a decade.
Yep.
Someone powerful decided that this was going to be an issue,
Yeah.
right? And they brought that up for a purpose. I think papers got shifted around. I think someone met someone at a park bench in a trench coat sometime, and they're like, I got something for you. This is just think about it. The Wall Street Journal is owned by Rupert Murdoch.
Right.
So Rupert Murdoch decided that they would release some of that information about Trump, the
Yeah.
naked lady picture. They're always in support of Trump. So what made them decide to release that now? That's very interesting.
Well, because if Trump goes, nobody's going to say, release the Epstein files anymore.
Right.
So, and here's another broader picture of that whole thing. Number one, they can't release it. I mean, they have victims out there that can give out their own names. I'm pretty sure that probably panicked every single one of them.
Yes.
And they can't suppress the victims as much as they used to anymore. Everybody's starting to come out and speak about that. So they have a struggle. They can't put out fake stuff because the victims will come right behind them and go, no, that's not a complete list. Right? We'll come up with our own.
Yes.
And so they're getting more powerful than the people who are trying to hide it. And they don't like that either. But it's a whole thing.
I would suggest all of y'all look at the light of that.
Yep.
Look
Always
at
follow the money.
incredible personal power of those people who came forward. And I'm sure there's men too who were abused in this way. Yeah, look at already these women have had incredible courage to come forward.
Yep.
They are risking their lives for this. Where does that courage come from?
You're right.
That evolved, right? And it evolved because, Blasey Ford was powerful enough to do that. I think that also, they're working with each other. They're collecting with each other to support each other. This is a great metaphor for all of us through this incredible difficulty. Don't forget the bravery of us, of those people, of everyone who is trying to bring forward the truth. There are people certainly on both sides of the political spectrum who are involved in that. And okay, let's just be honest here and show up and talk about the truth. I've been told that they were worried that if these files came out, 300 of the most important people in America would, be under the gun and lose their job, and that it would actually have an economic impact, right? If the 300 CEOs were removed from their positions, it would cause economic chaos. I think that is even a concern.
Yeah. I agree. We should be calling them survivors and not victims, because they are no longer victims, especially with their bravery and stuff like that they're doing. I 100% agree on that.
Yeah, we can call them heroes.
Yeah, heroes. Yeah, exactly. These brave women. Well, here's the thing. It is how many women does it take for everybody to believe the truth? This country is so horrible at believing. I mean, 26 women have come out against Trump, and every single one of them have been dismissed, right? How many women does it take? How many of them does it take?
Yeah.
for us to start believing. If this country actually believed women when they were told, when they said that they've been attacked, there would have been so many more men in prison by now.
Yes. And the army is full of examples of cover up of men's sexual
Yeah.
assault.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to get into the army. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want the military to come down. I live in 5 bases here.
Okay. We'll scratch that.
Yeah, it
Let's
was
say
a
that
bad.
there are many who have suffered in this way.
This is true. But yeah, yeah, yeah. The Air Force Academy is one. If you just go back 20 years, there that big old huge scandal there. Yeah, everybody knows.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, well, everyone, I appreciate everyone here. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something. I hope that sometimes when we have the same views, it doesn't make you feel alone anymore. That's kind of always my goal. Just to let you know that you're not the only one that sits back at home thinking about all of these things, and you're not crazy. You know what I mean? We're not
Yes.
crazy.
Solidarity, y'all.
Yep.
Solidarity.
Yeah. And if you want to find out who Dave Johnson is, go to Dave Johnson. He's on YouTube. He does readings, right? You do channeling or you do something. And it's all on his webpage of how to get a hold of him and stuff like that to
Sure.
do transgressions or something. I don't know. What do you do?
I do past life regressions. I would do channeling, and I love to teach channeling. And I do trance channeling, which is that a little bit different from today. I'm totally in the space with your guides and telling you whatever information I get. But yeah, look towards the light, everyone. We are unified in our advancement.
Yes, I was gonna save some time for a little message, but we're almost an hour and a half in. That's a long time for me to sit. But
Sure, sure.
just know that we are here for you, and we're for me. I know that I do. I keep a tap or a temperature on what's going on because I want to know the moment that energy shifts so big that it's already shifted so big that there's no coming back. We have all changed. There's no doubt in my mind. But I want to know the moment that that man leaves this earth, I will know. I know that I will know. I really do. I will be the first one like, oh, he's gone.
And I know
So
you'll let us know.
I will. I'll let everybody know, like, he's gone. I felt it. He's gone. He's left this earth. So, all right, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for watching, everyone.